everybody. I'm Jay Webb, and first of all, I'd like to reiterate what Lieutenant John was saying. I'd like to thank Captain Mike, my teacher, and all my fellow classmates and my fellow Christians in Bible study on Wednesdays. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all you guys. I know that for a fact. So, here we go.
I got your back.
All right. My testimony. I'm going to stick to the script because I believe it's going to get a little emotional for me. First, I would like to define life. Life should consist of three parts: mental, physical, and spiritual. My life for a long time did not consist of these parts equally. The spiritual part is what I lacked the most. I did not seek God for direction or guidance. I thought I was in charge of my life. And I could go on and on about the details and the hardships and the disappointments and the anger and the resentments this caused me. I am fully aware today of why this self-centeredness, self-seeking, and self-reliance thinking is really self-destructive. The pain of coming up short in all aspects of my life was killing me emotionally and spiritually. The consequences of living this way, low self-esteem, self-doubt, and shame are poison to the spirit, I believe. Need I say more? God has been with me in my life, though. He was trying to bless me, even though I did not recognize it at the time. I have to be honest about this fact because, in spite of me, I did marry a wonderful person. I had 2 wonderful children. I developed some good work ethics, and so it wasn't all bad. You know what I mean? It's kind of sad I didn't fully get to participate in what God was offering me my whole life, though. So I have a little bit of regrets about that. One of these gifts that God blessed me with was my only son, Blake. I loved him very much, and I still do. I believe Blake was a child of God from birth. Since I could remember, he had a beautiful heart. My wife and I agreed that we would give him a fighting chance, and we decided as long as we could afford it, we would keep him in Christian school from preschool on. So I went to pick him up one afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, beautiful day outside, and the teachers informed me that Blake was still at the chapel. So I went in there, and he was kneeling at the altar, all by himself. All the other kids were outside playing, and he was giving himself to God, to Jesus in his heart that day. And I recognized that moment at the time, but I didn't know how significant it was at that moment. I just thank God for that still today. Blake was my direct connection to God, and the light shined in him. And I had the privilege to watch this relationship that he had with Jesus grow. I figured, as powerful as it was, somehow I figured that wasn't for me. So I fed off his light and joy for a while. The joy that I seen in Blake, that I witnessed in Blake, was very powerful. So around 7 years ago, I surrendered my life to God. Somewhat humbly, but feeling a lot of hope, I slowly started my walk. I was doing okay until May 2nd of 2010, when Blake was taken into sleep. He died that night after a big tournament up in Oregon. I cannot describe the devastation and pain that came over me that day. My light was almost out. He had a youth ministry up in Oregon, and what I learned is that he was promoted to glory that day. And that was one of the things that helped me process this whole thing. I figured that I only had one way to turn at that moment. Because I really did not know what to do. So in one of my most humble moments in my life, I pleaded to God to help me. These were not just words I was speaking that day. It was me crying from my inner spirit. I put all my trust in God that day. God heard me cry on that day. In the past 4 years, I have come to believe God can and does perform miracles. He can and does restore and renew. God and the Holy Spirit has guided me to a place of healing and peace and so much more. He has eliminated all doubts. He has eliminated all doubts of the existence of Him in our lives. His love is abundant. Whatever I do in this life today, I will try to do His will. I eagerly seek God's guidance today. And my true source of the kingdom on earth today is through Jesus Christ, our Savior.
And now, as we continue with the soldier enrollment, I'd like to invite Kelsey to join me here.
This is a bit of a surprise for Jay. I was hoping that Lieutenant John could lower me in from the roof, but we couldn't make that happen. Well, Jay, I've known you for a long time. I've known you for a very long time, in fact, and I've always known that you were a phenomenal person. I've always seen evidence that you knew God. I've always seen that. But to be really, really honest with you, to be very honest, I never thought I'd see you wearing these clothes. I could have never pictured that. Jay's son, Blake, who he's just told you about, was my best friend. And since his promotion to glory a few years ago, Jay and I have been able to grow much closer together. We've communicated a lot, and while we were friends before, I think it's gotten a lot deeper. We've talked a lot about spiritual stuff, and we talk a lot about emotional stuff. And we're always kind of connected in some way or another. And through this time, I've been able to see Jay go on a bit of a journey. I've been able to watch as he's kind of trotted the footsteps of his son. And he's really very intentionally gone on a journey to find out more about his son. And it's been beautiful to watch. And we've talked a lot about it and unpacked it as it's happened. And of the many discoveries that he's made along the way, I think that the most important, by far the most important, that he's been able to get his arms around, the most important truth about Blake's life is his love for Christ. Is that fair to say? It's been brilliant to watch, and from my vantage point where I'm at, I've not only seen him learn about this, I've not only witnessed him begin to understand this, but I've seen him embrace it. And I've actually seen him now emulating it. And what could be more beautiful than that? Jay, the reality that you're standing in front of this congregation in polyester right now is actually like seeing God's fingerprint. It really is to me. It's a physical manifestation of God's power in your life, and it means a lot. It's brilliant. Let me be clear, this uniform is not your salvation. I think you know that, right? This uniform is not your salvation, but it does speak to others about your salvation. It is a witness to others about your salvation, and it's a tool for your witness. Always remember that the Christian's witness is tied and imperative to the Christian's purpose. Wrap your mind around this for a second as we try to understand the Christian witness. I think this demonstrates the power of how a Christian's witness can really impact. You are before us today because of a single Christian's witness. You are before us today because of the witness of your son, Blake. Is that true? That is true. He had such a strong witness, such a strong aroma of Christ in his life, that as you begin on this path, you begin on this journey, understanding who he was, that you begin to see Christ in a more vivid way. Is that true? It's so powerful that even though he's not with us physically, his witness is. That's how powerful a witness is. His witness had so much momentum, and it still does. And I believe that that momentum is alive in you. I believe that Blake's witness lives on in you in the same way. And in the same way that Blake did, I challenge you, I implore you to be Christ to the people you meet. To continue to show that love to all that you come into contact with. And there's only one more thing. I'm going to set this down for a second. I noticed it, and it's bothering me. Maybe it's because I'm at the training school, but these epaulets are wrong. Yeah, these are wrong. Can I take them off for a second? They just don't seem right. I don't know, maybe the DC can look at them from here. They just don't look right, huh? No, they're not right.
I've already been branded.
Yeah. The right ones for you are right here. These are Blake's epaulets. And so, if I came on anywhere. These were the one thing that I wanted from Blake. But they need to be on your shoulders. If we can get them on. Don't worry, they never get easier. So, in the same way that Blake wore them, wear them proudly. And show Christ to others as you do so. So when the days that you put this uniform on, you not only remember the covenant that you made with God, but also remember, it's not as important, but it's still important, how well your son wore those epaulets. I love you, brother.
Although I know that you spent a long time looking at that covenant, you're going to sign that in a minute. But the thing is, I want to decrease, and I just want to allow God to speak to you. So we're just going to give you a minute, just 1 minute, to just take a moment to kneel at that holiness table before the Lord. And just say a word of prayer and ask the Lord to just begin to